SpaceX, America's private space exploration company founded by Elon Musk, is seeking necessary licenses to bring Starlink, its internet service, into Nigeria. This was disclosed by Ryan Goodnight, SpaceX Starlink Marketing Access Director for Africa, in a meeting with Nigerian Communication Commission's Executive Vice Chairman, Professor Umar Dambata, in Abuja. Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe, who is the lead faculty at Tekedia Institute, joins us live from the United States to discuss this further. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a quote from you here reacting to the news in an article you wrote on the Tekedia site. Let's take a look at that, where you talk about asymmetric disruption. It says, I've called it an asymmetric disruption when Elon Musk SpaceX decides to arrive in Nigeria with its Starlink. So what is asymmetric disruption?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me for this amazing conversation about technology and the economic development of our nation, Nigeria. So asymmetric disruption has to look at coming into a market with something that is totally setting a new basis of competition. In other words, what they are coming with these Starlink products is totally orthogonal to what everyone is doing within the GSM space. So it's something that will take customers into another dimension. So that's why I call it asymmetric disruption, because it has the capacity to improve quality, even at the same time reduce cost. So setting a new basics that most other practitioners may not necessarily have the capacity to compete effectively.
All right. Now, does asymmetric disruption continue indefinitely as innovation introduces new ways of, providing products and services?
Of course, it doesn't. Nothing continues indefinitely. But at this particular point in time, before people begin to catch up with what SpaceX is doing, at least it has an age. So it doesn't mean that others cannot catch up. But at this moment, it has an age. That is the position we are right now.
If Starlink gets the green light, how much of a threat or an impact would it be on telcos in Nigeria?
So depending on how they react, of course, these guys are battle tested. They are very brilliant people. So we do not just think that it's only Elon Musk and his team may actually have the field day. They can also have their own playbook. No one knows how they are going to respond. But if they do not do anything, I do believe vividly that they can actually be in a very great problem, because rural telephony will actually move to the satellite guys. And if they lose that market opportunity, which is actually the growth nurses for them, they are going to be in a very serious problem in Nigeria. Of course, the cities are extremely very competitive. But who is going to capture the value in rural parts of Nigeria and beyond? So if Starlink takes it up, and then from there, it can actually start coming into the city, you could see that these guys have been circled. So that's why it's a very big threat. But I am very confident they are going to open their playbook to see how they can actually compete.
All right, thanks. Now, speaking of playbook, what about the cost? Starlink is currently in beta mode, meaning not everyone can sign up. Beta services comes with a price tag of about $100. There's also almost a $500 upfront cost to cover the Starlink kits, which includes all of the necessary hardware. Now, since this is beta mode, the price could differ when it hits the market. Do you think that the price will be a barrier as far as scale is concerned?
No, I don't think the price will be a barrier, because this is electronics. What happens here is that if you are making something for maybe 10,000 units, that thing could go for $100. If you are making the same product, let's say for 1 million units, the same product could actually fall down to $5. So the unit economics in electronics improve significantly with volume. So they are in a better mode. That means they're just making very small number of these units, and that's why the cost is very high. But there is something that tells you that these guys, they have something they are doing. The United States government on rural telephony service had this contract of $9.2 billion. 180 companies participated. Starlink won about $886 million. In other words, out of the 180 companies, the US government found it worthy to be awarded nearly $1 billion out of that $9.2 billion. So what does it mean? It means it must have beaten the other nearly 180 other companies very well. because there's no way the government would have given you that contract if the cost was not very, very, very competitive. So I do believe that the cost we have today is just for the beta testing. By the time it begins to move into the market, right scale production, I think the cost will drop in multiples.
What kind, you mentioned reaction of competitors earlier. What kind of resistance should we expect from internet providers currently here?
Well, I think I'm expecting a kind of a conversation on GSM-led, a satellite-led, which one will Nigeria follow? It's the same kind of conversation we had when the mobile money was coming. People say, let's have the bank leading it, let's have the telcos leading it. At the end of the day, the government felt that the bank should actually drive it. So we are going to have a scenario where people will begin to make a case that even if Starlink comes, Starlink has to go through the GSM because they have to be the one that have made investment. They have been the one that have many people employed. So we cannot just bring this disruption all of a sudden. Thousands of people in our beautiful nation will be out of job. But however, I don't think it's going to work because if the citizens vote with their money and they believe that satellite is going to offer them the opportunity to open up the rural economies across our nation, there is really nothing anyone can do. The GSM did it to the CDMAs. The CDMA guy did it to NITA. So this is part of that creative destruction, which is very, very critical in the market system. So I want to see what they will do. But let's also consider something. This is not just about technology. This guy called Elon Musk has demonstrated that he does not just compete on technology, he competes on business model. Look at Tesla. Tesla is not a car company. If you buy Tesla today in America, you have to be paying annual license fee on software until the day you stop using that car. And if you sell that car, you know what? You also cannot transfer the licenses on the software to the new buyer. The new buyer has to go to Tesla and also do relicense the software. In other words, unlike other car companies, Tesla, you never actually stop paying once you buy the car. So we don't know the kind of business model Elon Musk and his team will also introduce in the satellite space, because that could actually become something that will separate it from other companies. Because today, it is the only car company, when we look at Tesla, that makes it possible that you never finish paying for your car. So that is actually something that the telcos have to be worried, and not necessarily the technology, because that offers them a very huge opportunity to lock customers into another dimension of competition.
Great stuff. I want to ask you about the pace of regulators. Google had Luno, an internet service delivered by large balloons, didn't, excuse the pun, take off in Kenya, partly due to regulatory delays. Do you think the NCC will move quickly in Nigeria with respect to Starlink?
Actually, interestingly, what killed Loom was not necessarily a regulatory problem. I would think that what killed Loom was it didn't have a very good technology. You know, when Loom was starting this thing, most of us in the technology space say, hey, they do not even have the compounding leverageable factors that can actually help them do this thing across the world. So when Tesla unveiled Starlink, Google gave up. It wasn't regulatory because Loom is not everywhere in the world. So we cannot say it did not take off in Kenya, it did not take off in Nigeria because of regulatory issues. I think they shut down Loom because it was not a viable business. See, that is a challenge. The pace of technological exponential capabilities in the world is simply unprecedented, that you could be in your formative years. Somebody has already outcompeted you. Tesla outcompeted Google Loom and Google gave up. So that is even the reason why no one is talking about Google Loom today.
Fantastic stuff. We're out of time. I have to have you back again. So Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe, lead faculty at Tekedia Institute, thank you so much for talking about us about asymmetric disruption. Appreciate your time.